Here is a dollar that you earn from hard work. Normally, you pay a small percentage of that dollar that goes back into society. By paying taxes, you contribute to your society by chipping in to pay for hospitals, schools, new roads, and social benefits. Now, imagine that half of your dollar goes to tax. Spoiler alert, it actually does. Recently, my mother-in-law retired after working basically her entire life, and she told me that she has to pay taxes on her pension payouts. And my first reaction was, wait, what? Isn't that like double income tax? So I started to research the tax system, and down the rabbit hole I went. And let me tell you, I was shocked with what I actually discovered. Now, income taxes are paid very differently depending on where you live in the world. In the US, for example, the percentage depends on how much you earn and other factors. But the IRS states that the average income tax is around 14%. However, this is far from the truth. Regarding how much you are making, the income tax is an illusion, okay? It's the bunny in the hat. It's the pretty lady with the huge knockers to keep your attention as the tax magician does his sleight of hand routine. Trust me, you pay a lot more taxes than you actually think. Now, before we get started, there are two things that I want to mention. You need to know that I'm not one of those people who are against taxes. I have friends who are very much against taxes in general. Now, personally, I believe that taxes are a necessary evil, but there are a few problems with taxes, which we're going to discuss in this video. Secondly, I also want to point out that I don't encourage anyone not to pay taxes or commit tax fraud. There are, however, clever ways to reduce your taxes if you figure them out. However, having said so, it's interesting how rich people manage to pay a lot less taxes than ordinary people. I also find it very interesting that big companies like Apple and Google pay them less than 1% in taxes when the ordinary worker has to pay around 14%. Now, there is tax evasion, but there is also creative tax planning. See, most people don't know how to find loopholes in the system. So, for example, I actually don't pay taxes for the earnings of my YouTube videos. It's true. There's nothing illegal about it though. I just understand how the tax system in Sweden works. Now, I'm just an amateur, but the big companies, they are the real pros. Let me give you two examples. First being Apple, and they've been criticized heavily for using strategies such as transfer pricing where profits are shifted to low-tax jurisdictions and maintaining subsidiaries in countries with favorable tax laws. In recent years, Apple has faced scrutiny from various governments, including the European Union, over tax practices. While Apple reports significant amounts of tax payments, the effective tax rate it pays can be lower than the statutory rates due to these strategies. Now, similar to Apple, Google has been accused of using various tax avoidance techniques, including shifting profits to tax havens and using complex corporate structures. Google has faced investigations and criticism from authorities in multiple countries, including the US, the European Union. Like Apple, Google reports significant tax payments, but the efficient tax rate it pays may be lower than the statutory rates due to these practices. Now, these are big companies that get chased by governments all the time. And, sometimes they do get to pay huge fines. But it's funny to me that when a person doesn't pay taxes, he or she could go to jail. I find that very interesting. Now, let's talk about the hidden taxes that you don't think about. Now, you're probably smart enough to know that the income tax that you're paying is not the only tax that you pay. But it is a pretty big one, isn't it? And sure, income tax grabs a chunk. But there is a whole lot more to the tax story. Ever heard of payroll taxes? These sneaky deductions take a bit of your paycheck before you even see it. Now, they include things like, Social Security and Medicare taxes eating up around 7.65% of your hard-earned money. Now let's talk about sales taxes. Every time you buy something, you're paying a little extra in sales tax. Now it might not seem like much, but it adds up over time. This includes basically everything you buy. Your food, your car, your smartphone services, your Lego. Basically everything with a price tag comes with a tax fee. If you own a home, there are property taxes. These can eat into your budget whether you realize it or not. They're often actually included in the mortgage payment, making them easy to overlook. Now maybe you invest your hard-earned money. Don't forget about investment taxes. When you cash out those gains, the taxman wants his share, around 15% of your profits, but again, it depends from country to country. But wait, there's actually more. Taxes lurk in unexpected places like groceries, internet bills, and even your morning coffee. They may seem small, but they add up quickly. When you add up all of these taxes on your income, your purchases, investments, you realize the truth. You're paying a lot more than you actually think. It's not just 12% income tax. It's a whole web of taxes nibbling away at your paycheck. So, how much taxes do you actually pay? When you add all of these percentages, you might be thinking that you pay a bit more than 12 or 14%. But the truth is, you are paying something like 40 to 50% of every earned dollar you make. Now, let that sink in for a moment. Of every earned dollar you make, the government takes 50%. One of my favorite philosophers, Alan Watts, once talked about this, that taxes are unnecessarily complicated. It would be far easier if all taxes were deducted before payouts. By simplifying the tax process and reducing the need for individuals to file complex tax returns, such a system would potentially make taxations more transparent and less burdensome for some taxpayers. It could also help make sure that taxes are collected efficiently and accurately, minimizing the likelihood of errors and reducing administrative costs for both taxpayers and government agencies. But why is it so complicated if we know that we can make it more simple? Well, my theory on why we have this complex system is that if most people would realize that they pay 50% taxes, they simply wouldn't accept it. This is why we have this illusionary sleight of hand tax system. People are okay with the idea of their taxes go to Social Security, healthcare, education, and defense. It's the backbone of their society, their country. But when you read it as 50%, something feels a bit off, especially since most of the taxes come from the working class and not the rich or the companies. As always, thank you for listening. Do me a favor and tap that like button to show your support. Subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Until next time, stay hungry, relentless, and strong in your journey of escaping wage slavery. Bye. Oh, you're still here. Oh, that's right. It's the behind the scenes vlog. Okay, so this is totally unscripted. The thing about unscripted videos is I believe that there is a reason for them to exist compared to, well-polished videos that are scripted and such. And I have a confession to make. Sometimes I like to watch smaller YouTubers, people who vlog. I just enjoy the raw authenticity of, their inner thoughts. And I don't mind them, making mistakes when they talk and stuff like that. The uncomfortable silences or when they lose a word in their head, it's all fine. It's more like a conversation with a friend. And that's why I've sort of been contemplating actually starting a personal vlog. I'm still sort of working on it, on, how I want it to look. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, actually. So stick around and you might get an invitation to a new channel. What else is new? Well, I started my new job as a project manager for this warehouse movement. It's fine. There's going to be a lot of overtime, but at least it's close, so I'm not complaining. It's totally cool. And yeah, everything else is fine. The cat, the dog, everything is peachy, I suppose. Anyway, that's all I have for today. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.